Sorry, this episode after party is so late. Just busy. Won't happen though, especially for the next couple of weeks anymore because I'm on vacation. I'm really excited. So let's get on with Suki and looking at my notes. I mean, that dress, no. Suki has the worst clothes. And what's so funny is that I totally see this character. That's what she would buy. So I always find that hilarious. Now, I don't know about her staying to look for Bill. Like Tara said, you're crazy. We need to get out of here. So, but she is going to help her. Tara's going to stay and help her anyway. So that's good. But I would have been like, Tara, I'm out of here. This is our chance to escape. We need to go. Um, I hate your effing guts, Eric Northman. Like, that needs to be on a t-shirt. That was the line of the episode. It really, really was. Favorite line of the episode. Now, in True Blood, from what I can tell, biting somebody doesn't turn them into a vampire if you happen to get bit by a vampire, which is good, because we'll get into Jessica in a bit, but, Lorena bit Suki. So, now what? And on top of that, we got to see that Alcee is a white wolf. At least I didn't know that. I don't know if it was mentioned in the books, but I was excited to see that. And we'll have to see what happens with Suki next week. Her talking with the king was it was moderately interesting, but I knew it was going to happen. I mean, she didn't really have any answers for him. She doesn't know what she is, so we'll see what happens with her next week and her bite from Lorena. Bill, he was having a really, really rough night. I loved him staking the bodyguards. Like I said last week, I mean, you've got bodyguards that are susceptible to the same things you're susceptible to, but I won't get into that again. Now, him trying to jump Russell was also hilarious, especially Russell. I'm almost 3,000 years old. I know you did not just try to jump on me. That was funny. Talbot freaking out about the house was also hilarious, but I'll get into that in a bit. Now, I'm assuming that Bill was held down with Silver, right? Because it just looked like because he wasn't fighting when he was laying down. He wasn't fighting. He was just kind of wreathing back and forth. So are those handcuffs Silver? Or maybe the chain in between the handcuffs Silver? I don't know. Because he wasn't struggling. He wasn't trying to get free of his bonds. So we'll see what happens next week. If Suki can resuscitate him further once she gets Lorena off of her. But I did feel bad for Bill. He had a really rough night, so I hope something better happens next week. Well, poor Lafayette. It turns out Jesus don't play that when it comes to drug dealers, and he was like really miffed. I kept waiting for him to shift into something or do something, like the whole episode every time he was with Lafayette, but he didn't. So he's just, as far as we can tell for now, a regular guy. But he is not into drug dealers or drugs, I guess, in general, or whatever, because he was ticked off. Jumps in the car and like slams the door and all the other glass breaks. So sorry, Lafayette, we'll have to get you a new boyfriend. Now, Tara. This is the Tara I like. Where has this Tara been all season? Bashing in Franklin's head the way she did, that was fantastic. I was so excited that she just took the initiative. I would have been scared to do that because I would have just, I was waiting on Franklin to like flip over and turn around the second she raised up that thing, but he didn't. He was sound asleep. And she was supposed to behead him though. You have to take their heads off. But she smashed his head in pretty good. So far he hasn't shown up in her and Suki running around. What else? The tag team of her and Suki taking out Patrick Swayze's brother, the bodyguard of Suki. That was fantastic. Like, and Tara doing that whole little routine to get him to open the door, let her in the room. All of that was amazing. Like, this is the Tara. We need this Tara for the rest of the season. No more pushover Tara. Like, this Tara was good. Good Tara. So she ran into Alcee outside. He's got a truck. So now they gotta find Suki, who's in the slave quarters with Lorena chomping on her neck. And I told you all, I said plantation last week, didn't I? And I was right, because I was trying to figure out what Russell's place was. And yes, it was a plantation, and there were slave quarters. So that's where Suki is, Bill chained to the floor. So hopefully Tara and Alcee can get there, but they don't know where he is. You could hear Suki screaming. Well, Tara can like do telepathy. Suki can tell her where she is. Right? Right. Eric, my man. Eric. Oh my goodness. He was the star of this episode. So good, so good. Him and his it's so funny because he actually said to Suki commented about, you know how Eric was blatantly sucking up to the king, telling him, oh, you shouldn't let Suki go, and just all up on him. And Suki commented, I hope you were just saying that for his benefit and you don't really feel that way. And Eric himself remarked, I don't think you put something over on the king of Mississippi and get away with it. Did he really believe that? Or was he just saying that to shut up Suki? Because I'm just wondering, I know Russell, he's full of himself enough to enjoy the flattery. Eric's really good looking, and you know, Eric is playing it, you know, oh, I just fawning all over him. Your Majesty, you make me weak in the knees. Like that's how Eric is playing it. And the way he was not coming on to, but it was like he couldn't help himself in touching Russell after they were with Sophie, and then he sort of caught himself and pulled himself back as if, oh, I better stop. Like Russell caught all of that. It was fabulously played by Eric, and I'm just really, really wondering what's going to happen with that. I loved his conversation with the king in the car about how humans used to taste and how things used to be. And Eric saying, I remember everything, meaning he really did remember everything, including Russell slaughtering his family. I am wondering now, though, at first I thought he was going to work the Talbot angle to find out more about the crown, but as he sees now, he can have audience with Russell. He doesn't maybe have to go through Talbot. So I think he's gonna work the Russell angle instead of the Talbot angle. One thing that I was kind of thinking of yesterday was that Russell wouldn't keep somebody around for 700 years if he didn't really genuinely like him. And Talbot, I'm putting Talbot and Russell in here because they were kind of all wrapped up with Eric. One thing about Russell is that he really puts up with a lot of drama from Talbot that I don't see him putting up with from other people. Like, he didn't even let Lorena protest for a second about killing Bill. And Talbot screaming at him and telling him he's a weak character and all this other stuff. And the king is just basically rolling his eyes like, whatever. You know, so he really, really cares for Talbot. And I'm wondering, I think he'd be more upset with Eric if Eric tried to put one over on him through Talbot. Does that make sense? You know, like if somebody did something to Talbot, I think Russell would just like flip out. He would just go bananas. He would be like inconsolable and like his rage would just take him over. So I would actually like to see that. I think that'd be really interesting to see. What else? Oh, did anybody else notice when he told Eric to take Suki into the library because he was like, I gotta go repair the state of my marriage. So then he comes into the library where Eric and Suki is, and he's buckling up his pants. Did anybody else notice that? Because I did. Jason, boring as usual. Although, here's my theory. I think Crystal's boyfriend dog fights too. Because did you see his face? There were like little nicks and cuts, and he was kind of all bruised up. And that was the first thing that popped into my head. I was like, why is he so bruised up? So I think clearly they're shifters of some sort, but I think her boyfriend dog fights. I really do. So I kind of felt bad for Jason, like going there and getting rebuffed that way, but that's what I took from that scene. That's what caught my interest. Her boyfriend's jacked up face, and I think he dog fights too. Now, see there, you all, Jessica did tell all those people not to give Arlene a tip. I was wondering about that, and I was right. She did tell all those people not to tip Arlene, and then she felt bad about it, and so that woman who was totally annoying, like I've mentioned before in this after party, thank goodness in True Blood vampire ecosystem, you bite somebody if you're a vampire and it doesn't turn them into a vampire. And it's a good thing because I don't doubt for a second. I mean, yeah, she glamored that woman. Did she specifically, though, tell her she wasn't going to remember everything that night? Well, I guess she did after she bit her. And the lady paid with cash, so there'd be no record of her coming to Merlotte's. So, like, if she paid with a credit card, she could trace back to where, like, how'd I get these 2 holes in my neck? You know what I mean? I would be so freaked out if I woke up the next day and, like, clearly you got 2 holes in your neck. You have been bitten by a vampire. Like, what? Freak out. Freak out. So, I don't know. That's all I was thinking. That lady was a total jerk. I don't know why I'm worried about how she's feeling, but that is what popped into my head. I don't want it to get traced back to Merlotte's. I really don't. So I think Jessica's fangs popping out was the funniest thing to happen in that episode. I mean, there were some good moments in this episode, but just Arlene was like, look, and it went blip. That was fabulous. I loved it. So that was the best use of fangs I've seen yet, honestly, on this show. So hopefully that woman doesn't come back next week, or something happens where it leads back to Merlotte's that woman got bit. Well, as so many people have been speculating, Sam's family is using Tommy for dogfighting, and it turns out his mom used to dogfight till she couldn't anymore. So now they're using Tommy to do it, and he's their meal ticket. That's what Jolie meant about owning him from tip to tail, or whatever he said. As Tommy points out to his mom when they had that conversation, which was really telling, it told us everything we need to know. She laid out all of it. His mom was trying to make this point that Jolie had stood by them all this time, and Tommy's like, you're his meal ticket. Where is he going? He's not going anywhere. I can't understand why she doesn't see that. And as Tommy tried to tell her, maybe Sam could help us, we wouldn't have to do this anymore, and we could get rid of Jolie. And she's like, no. And Sam only is looking down on them because of their behavior, not because of their dogfighting or whatever, because he doesn't even know about that yet. And I know Tommy feels this obligation to his mom, but hopefully Sam can teach him that Tommy's mom isn't good for him. Just because you feel bad for somebody doesn't mean that you should necessarily be with them. And I don't know, it's just tough. Tommy is really in the middle because he doesn't want his mom to like end up on the street, as she always points out. But he doesn't want to stay there either. And the longer he stays there, the worse he's going to be off. What if he actually got killed in the ring? So, I don't know. Their storyline has finally gotten interesting. I'm happy about that. Hopefully hopefully Sam can get there in time to stop this particular fight, let him know he knows, and give them some sort of ultimatum. Again, like I always say, no Pam makes for a really tough decision when it comes to outfit of the episode. This week we have a tie. We have Loretta's amazing ruffled top. I love that. And then it was kind of backless. It wasn't totally backless, but the ruffle just went around her neck, and, you know, it sort of fastened at the waist. I really like that. And then Queen Sophie's white pantsuit and the pearl combo. Loved that. So those are my 2 outfits of the episode.